we are delighted to be here today in East Cleveland with Mayor Norton, Mr. Kelly, and Frank Ford here because this is the fulfillment, at least from the land bank's perspective, of a promise we made to East Cleveland, and the mayor of East Cleveland, back when the land bank just started. We had signed our very first agreement to work in the community on a memorandum of understanding with East Cleveland, to be involved in this community and to really try to make a difference, to remove blight, to try to create development sites, and to do the kind of hard root canal that's really required in neighborhoods to try to bring stability back and primarily to try to stabilize the tax base. It's very difficult to stabilize tax bases when you have buildings that are in blighted condition. When you remove them, it begins to create the stability that's needed. So what we're going to, what this here today is all about is we're beginning the demolition of 24 apartments, vacant, abandoned, certified nuisance apartment buildings in the city of East Cleveland. We're also going to be knocking down 31 homes in the same condition in order to make way and try to assemble these properties for future development. The other thing that we're doing here, which is very unique, is we're going to be conducting a deconstruction operation. A lot of the materials, the bricks, some of the wood, some of the valuable elements in these buildings will not be put into a landfill, but they'll actually be reutilized, resold, re-put back onto the market. It'll create 8 jobs, 8 full-time jobs, along with other deconstruction that the land bank is involved in. So we view this as a very positive thing for East Cleveland. We view it as a positive thing for a statement about what can be done to create jobs in the midst of the tough real estate market that we find ourselves in. And so I want to acknowledge a couple of others. I want to acknowledge Norm Crumbles. Is Norm here?
Norm's here.
Norm has been involved with East Cleveland. He's involved with planning. He's dedicating his time and resources and energies to trying to help East Cleveland. And of course, Norm's been around forever, trying to stabilize neighborhoods, and he's a real advocate. So I want to just acknowledge him because he was there, when we were just starting. So we appreciate him. And with that, I would like to maybe turn it over. Oh, one other thing. When we're done here, you'll be able to observe the demolitions, of course, however much you'd like. But you can also perhaps get together with NPI and Chris Caius, who is here. Chris Caius is our deconstructor. He's the professional and the expert in deconstructing things and getting them back onto the market. And I believe that he's going to be willing, to the extent the media likes, to go into some of these buildings and see just what kind of stuff gets pulled out and how it gets pulled out. So it's a fascinating process. So with that, I would like to turn it over to the Honorable Gary Norton, Mayor of East Cleveland.
Thank you. Thank you, Gus. And I'm a Cheers fan from the 80s and 90s, so whenever Norm came into the bar, they said, Norm! So when Gus points out Norm Crumbles, we all say Norm, and he's here. But it is certainly a pleasure to be here with Gus, because Gus, we signed about a year and a half ago, that memorandum, and we thought the land bank could do big things for this region in terms of helping an older Midwestern city with surrounding inner ring suburbs with older infrastructure deal with some of the things that we have to do, tremendously high cost items to transform one neighborhood, one block at a time from a 19th century city to a 21st century city. And for us in particular, financially strapped as we are, a city cannot afford to deal with the large vacant and abandoned apartment buildings. And there's also a safety element. People of East Cleveland and passersby are safer when the vacant and abandoned apartment buildings are gone. There is going to be less crime in this area. But we've also got the assembly and the creation of developable sites along Euclid Avenue, close to transportation corridors, which is something that we desperately need to increase commerce. And we've got University Circle incorporated right next door to us, and they are slowly but surely creeping up Euclid Avenue, making investments based on the demolition and land clearance and the availability of items of desirability here in the city of East Cleveland. So we are, through an infusion of capital and work from the land bank, and Nate Kelly at Cuyahoga County and our county executive Ed Fitzgerald, we are truly transforming, putting the region's resources to work. Cuyahoga County, Northeast Ohio, focusing on a city right next to one of the largest economic generators in Northeast Ohio, University Circle, And lastly, but most importantly, the people of East Cleveland have been waiting for this. The people of East Cleveland need relief from these vacant, abandoned apartment buildings, these vacant, abandoned houses that no entity of government was willing to take responsibility for and make an investment in until the County Land Bank came along. So Gus, you and your staff, Cheryl Stevens and Dennis Roberts and all our friends, we truly appreciate what you're doing here today because you're making East Cleveland all that it can be.
This time, if we could have Nate Kelly, he sits on our board for County Executive Fitzgerald, and he brings a high level of expertise and support. So
I don't have a whole lot to say other than we're glad to be a partner of East Cleveland, the Land Bank, and I'm most interested in who's going to teach me how to run one of these things.
We got that taken care of. There's 3.
Frank Ford, who's with Neighborhood Progress, Inc., they have also been in the trenches for many, many years, and they kind of took the lead in sort of fashioning and trying to brainstorm how you do deconstruction. And so they're a critical support to the Land Bank and to this effort as well. Frank Ford.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today. We have 2 interests in this. The first is that we were one of the original supporters of the County Land Bank, the concept of that, and we're very pleased to be working in partnership with them. But otherwise, we also have one unique role here. 3 years ago, the Cleveland Foundation asked us to begin exploring deconstruction as an alternative to demolition so that we can begin diverting the millions of tons of debris that goes into our landfills. And also look at the possibility of creating jobs and possibly, and this is the question that's still not answered, can deconstruction generate enough revenue from recycled material to actually bring the cost of demolition down? I think on the first 2 we're clearly winning. The third one, the question is still undecided. But the Cleveland Foundation asked Neighborhood Progress to become a demolition contractor, which is not, for those who know us, we don't usually wear hard hats, but we did become a licensed demolition contractor 3 years ago, and we've now done 40 deconstructions, not counting the ones that are going to be done here today, or have been done. So we're very pleased to be part of this. It's in part a green, sustainable solution, diverting material from these landfills and reusing materials that are precious. We don't have to cut down more trees if we can pull the wood out and reuse these materials for products that people can use.
If you have any questions, we're all available.
I'm going to ask the mayor, this street, this is bad. How big a percentage, or what is the percentage of property in East Cleveland that is in this condition, and how do you get it?
I won't give you a percentage. I'll just say that there are too many. We can look at a single street and we see the impact. Now this street, there are better streets in East Cleveland. There are some that are worse. This is an example of something that we need to fix. There are too many vacant and abandoned, underused, unused pieces of property, buildings and houses in the city of East Cleveland. And by, again, only through this infusion of resources, only through this infusion of effort, are we able to make any dent whatsoever in this. So one street at a time. We are here today doing it on this street, and hopefully we'll be on another street in the future, one block at a time, bringing really America back.
Have you tried any other processes for getting rid of abandoned buildings and houses, or is this pretty much the first major effort?
We've got some effort on our own. The city of East Cleveland received grant funds. We've spent about $2 million to demolish vacant and abandoned houses, vacant and abandoned apartment buildings. We've only been able to get to houses with our funds. That has 2 purposes, really. Safety and security, also relief for residents. The resident who has to live next to the vacant abandoned house that's vandalized and lived in by squatters and used for other things, we just want to provide relief to our residents. But with this infusion of capital today, we're able to get to these large apartment buildings. And quite frankly, these things have been havens for crime. These things have been havens for storage of illegal materials, conducting illegal activities. We really, really want to get to as many of these as possible. And without the land bank, without Cuyahoga Land, without Neighborhood Progress, this would not be possible.
What do you see for the future of this land? What would you like to see there?
We'd certainly like to market it to developers. We know that there are people, whether it's a business or a resident, who can't find or can't afford the configuration of land at University Circle that they would like. Lots of people would like to be at or near University Circle. We hope that this could be targeted toward a company, toward an educational institution, toward an academic institution, toward a medical institution, or a cultural institution. There's also here proximity to Eddy Road, which is just 5 minutes from Interstate 90. This could be marketed toward any transportation-oriented firm that needs to get goods to market, wants to have a presence in the Heights area, the eastern suburbs of Cuyahoga County. This is a gateway to that. So there are many purposes. We'll work with Team NEO. We'll work with Cuyahoga County. Anyone who wants to select a site that is either near University Circle, near a transportation hub, that's been cleared out and is multiple acres on Euclid Avenue, we've got the perfect site for it.
These sites are going to become valuable because you obviously can't market something that's like this. Once it's down, however, all of a sudden it becomes more marketable. Just one street up on Vassar Road, the land bank is taking down 2 more properties in partnership with Cleveland Clinic. And those are the kind of collaboration we want. That's what development to answer the question is going to actually result in development on that land. Cleveland Clinic is very active. They're always looking for opportunities and ways to develop their perimeter and do some improvements. And that's just one example. It's just one street away. So it's not a far jump. It's not a far speculation to conclude that institutions like Cleveland Clinic will be looking at this as well.
What's the cost of this project?
This particular effort, the 24 buildings, the 30 units, it's about $900,000.
How far back does this building?
Many, many years. I would think that these are at least 80 years old. 1910. Also, they're just over 100 years old. Happy birthday, we're tearing you down. I'm sorry, Chris, we're deconstructing you. Right. It's a wonderful thing for us as an inner-ring suburb who experienced population flight. These buildings are used to house a very large population, but they're outdated, outmoded, and people prefer different ways of living, and we understand that. What an inner-ring suburb that is 100 years old has to deal with now is how do we go from being a 19th century city to a 21st century city? We want to create places and business spaces where people want to be in the 21st century and beyond, and sometimes that means the 19th century style has to go. We understand that, and without the land bank, we would not be able to afford to rid this parcel of these particular structures, to make way for the new things in the 21st century. Only through their investment, only through their caring, only through their specific focus on East Cleveland and with the county executive as well, Ed Fitzgerald and his good buddy Nate Kelly, are we able to do that. It means also safety for the residents of this community. These big, large, vacant abandoned buildings, vacant abandoned houses, they're big for crime, for storage, for conduct of illegal activity, and they really, really bother the neighbors. People who have kept up their properties and who want to be here will now no longer have to do this. So it means a lot. It means everything from the individual neighbor on the street to the business person who has a viable business in the community, to the entrepreneur or the large institution who wants to locate on the transportation corridor and University Circle. To all those people, it means the opportunity. So that's what this is. I think it'll be very successful. Sometimes business comes the next day, sometimes it comes in 5 years. But I think if we look over the next few years, we will see businesses come here as a result of this. Quite frankly, less than a half mile down the street, we're breaking ground on 20 new townhouses owned by University Circle in the city of East Cleveland. So it's proof that there's demand for housing. We're probably going to build an office building in the area as well. And as that growth streams down Euclid Avenue out of University Circle into East Cleveland, these sites will become more and more valuable by the month. Absolutely.